Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Happy Monday. We've just been
Hel-
looking up the date. We weren't sure.
no. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. That I'm sure of. I know it's Monday.
Today is the 15th of June, 2020. Is that
Yes, it
right?
is. Yes, it is. Which numerically speaking actually works out to be a 6622.
Oh,
So yeah, it could be an interesting day. But 66 is a very positive number, and it's a reminder of being positive. So
well, I've just had my day. So I can tell you it was a very good day for buying
good.
items on
Very
sale.
very good. There we go. So there you have it, everybody. Rachel is from the future. Rachel is from the future, and she declares that it is going to be a good day.
I managed to spend quite a lot of money in 15 minutes today before I met
Yay!
my friend Minna for coffee. We're going walking on Thursday and Friday.
Oh, that
Yeah,
sounds fun. Where are you
yeah.
going walking?
We are going to a little island down the bottom of Shayland called Mun. So that's M and then U with it's an O with a cross through it, and
Oh,
Mun. And
sounds
it's
like
lovely.
moon.
Yeah, yeah, it's a sort of in between a mon and moon, but Mun. And then I suddenly realised that my last, these sort of lightweight jackets you wear when you go walking in case it rains.
Mhm.
My last one, I suddenly remembered had fallen to pieces.
Oh no.
I was like, I could probably do with another one. And then I went in the shop to look, and they had a sale on, and they had walking sandals. I was like, I could use them. And then they
Ooh.
had clothes, and so yeah, I managed to spend. But I saved so much money.
Well, that's the thing. You got to get it when you can, you
Yeah,
know? And it's
yeah,
funny because this conversation actually came up over the weekend regarding money and not wanting to spend money. And you know how we always go into that place of like the guilty pleasure, like, oh my God, like I
yeah.
want to have it, but I'm so afraid to spend it. And then afterwards, you kind of beat yourself up for it. And something that I was sitting there thinking about was coming to me. And I had the conversation with the person and I said, money is honestly, we hold on so tightly to, I can't spend this money. But
Yeah,
money is just an exchange. It's
yeah,
just, it's just an energetic exchange for something that you need or something that you love. And
exactly.
so, can you put a price on what you love? Can you put a price on happiness?
Yeah,
You can,
and what you need on,
and
find.
what you need. Yeah, absolutely, for your well-being. So it's about relinquishing that control and the old program of what money holds over us, because money is just the exchange for your happiness and for your well-being.
Yeah.
So obviously that I'm not giving everybody a free pass here to go blow your mortgage payments, throw them away, no. You need your mortgage. But yeah, it's really about shifting our perception of how we hold on to money and how the fear of spending it and what will happen afterwards. I feel like when you follow your heart with a purchase, you're just the money is the exchange of love in return for what you need or want.
Well, I was doing, I like this sort of working with rune magic and stuff, and I've got this book called Icelandic Magic
Mhm.
by this. He was this guy. He wrote under two names, and one of them was Stephen E. Flowers, which seems an
Oh,
unlikely name for a
yeah.
magician, but that was when he did his academic work. And then he had a magical name that he wrote under, and that was Torvald something Son. I can't remember it now. But anyway,
Whoa.
great. It's really great, this book, and it's using a lot of it's sharing a lot of material from like old like magical books from like the 16th century, 17th century, that sort of thing. And I was like reading this book and I was really loving it. And then I really noticed there was no spells for money. Because like if you look in any like Wiccan book or witch book, there's always stuff there about money, isn't there? Because like we
Hmm.
all need money. And I
Hmm.
was like, there's nothing for money. And I thought, yeah, because they didn't really use money, did they?
That's right.
There was
That's
a
right.
fountain there for doing good business, and, you know, for getting a fair exchange, or but there was nothing there about money. And it really hit me how money has become a separate thing, separate from I need this, you need that, separate from just sharing, you know, like what we have to share. Yeah, that's where it's all gone a bit wrong.
Yeah, and money has become like an entity itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's like when I sat there, it's something that's just so common sense, but it's not. And I sat there having that epiphany moment over the weekend, and I was like, no, this is just a form of, it's currency as a form of exchange. And it's used to, the point of money is to help us attain the things that we need and help us to attain the things that make us happy or make us more comfortable. And if you're holding on to money, but not your happiness or your comfort or your well-being, well, there's where we're going wrong.
Yeah. But I feel we achieved quite a nice balance in mine and Thomas's marriage, because I like to spend money and he likes to save it.
That's my exact dynamic. I like to spend it. He likes to save it.
There's a lot. I think that it tends to be sort of more that way. I mean, I know we're not all the same, but I do hear that a lot from people. So, but it's quite good because it means I think more before I'm much more careful with money now than I used to be. But if I have some money, then it, you know, and I see a good I love a good bargain, then I tend to spend it. You know?
Yeah. Well, there you go. And you can't pass up a good bargain, you know.
Oh, I've got a lovely raincoat today. It's this lovely pastel colour. It's just like, you know, I've been dreaming of one like that for a while now. So
well, that's really a necessity.
Happy. Yes, that's it. I need it because it might well rain on me inland, even though right now, oh, it's so warm. I'm really hot.
Yeah. Wow. I know I saw your pictures over the weekend and it looked like it was really nice, and you were dressed in your nice little sundress and
yeah. It's unaccustomadly warm. Yeah, I can't even say it. That's how unaccustomed I am to it.
It's that warm. Oh wow. Yeah, it's been very warm here too, and that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. You know, it's like you gotta find that balance, you know.
Yeah, because when I say warm, it's probably about, maybe we've reached something that's probably quite mild. Because I know people like in Arizona and places like that, oh, wow, it gets so hot, doesn't it?
Yeah, here in New Jersey, we get incredibly humid, hot temperatures. I think this weekend they're calling for it to be up to 90 degrees. I'm not quite sure what that is in.
I'm gonna have a look on my computer.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I always get those, like, I always, you know, I try to figure it out, and I don't do well with that.
Wow, that's 32 degrees. I mean, that's Celsius.
Celsius, yeah, we're Fahrenheit.
That's really, really hot.
It's really hot. And we're supposed to have my daughter's graduation party outside on that day. So I'm like,
so you're praying for a little bit of a breeze then, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to get the hose out and just spray everybody. I might just put some holes in it and just run through it as a sprinkler. Who knows? Make it work somehow.
All right then. So I think at the moment it's about 77 here. And that's really quite warm.
It is kind of warm, yeah. Still kind of warm.
It's sort of, you know, generally we're lucky if we get up to 70.
Okay, so yes, very unusual for you. Okay.
Yeah. Although, you know, it does happen in the summer, but I think this is probably, I don't know, one of the warmest days we've had.
You know, I want to say this quickly, and then I'm going to say hello to everybody, because I see there's quite a few of you tuning in with us today, and we so appreciate you being here. But just to touch on that, I'll tell you, I went to the beach on Friday with my daughter. I've been trying to go. I did. I went, and we finally got there. Surprisingly, it was packed. I thought there was going to be like limitations on how many people were allowed to go. There was in other beaches, but not this particular beach. But okay, whatever. It is what it is. But I'll tell you what, the sun feels different. And I know, of course, global warming, things are different. I know that. However, it really did feel different. It felt like it was, don't take it for granted, because places that I normally don't have to apply sunblock, I did not. And let me tell you that I came out looking like a lobster. My poor daughter, she's like, my husband is Puerto Rican. So my daughter obviously is mixed, and she gets this beautiful golden tropical color. And she goes out in the sun 10 minutes, and I'm like, what I strive for all summer long. And she got worse than me, burnt. And her back,
Wow.
yesterday, she was at the house like begging me to apply witch hazel to her back, because Friday we went, yesterday was Sunday, and it was still really bad. So the sun is different right now, everybody. The sun is absolutely not to be taken for granted. Apply your sunblock. I don't care how tropical you are. Apply your sunblock. It's
Yeah.
interesting. So things are shifting. That's my point, was things are shifting. You know, where you are, you're getting at unusual temperatures. Where we are, this is not unusual, but it definitely doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of barrier anymore regarding the sun. So
It's not. I think it's not unusual to be people in Denmark going, that's not unusual to be 25. Just we don't get that many of them. I mean, we've had some summers where it never got there, but that was, we were having a bit of a cold summer, you know.
mm-hmm.
Also, this year has been different because we've actually had a lot of sun, and I know it's the same in the UK as well. And I was really happy because I make this like marigold oil. And then I melt beeswax and mix it together, and it makes like this salve, because I have like so a type of psoriasis on my hands and feet. And I used to buy this like, it's calendula, you know, calendula. I used to buy calendula cream, and then they started putting perfume in it, and I was like, oh, how stupid can you get? You know what I mean? It's for skin conditions. And then I started making my own, and I love it.
That's
but
why
it's
it
like
happens.
the best way to do it is to put the dried flowers, because I don't grow them myself. So I just buy like organic. I just buy it as tea, actually. Organic marigold, dried marigold, and then I put it in like the oil, and then I leave it in the sun for like 6 weeks or something like that. And it was over that sort of, you know, when the corona stuff started in March, and it virtually shone every day, the sun, and it's made this beautiful coloured oil. It's like, I've never known the sun shine this much. And just the energy coming out of the sun has just been. There's someone on Facebook that I friended, and she's in Norway, and she takes pictures, like solar pictures, and there's just this, it's just this gorgeousness like coming out of the sun.
Yeah, I was getting a lot of messages when the coronavirus first started about the sun. And, you know, obviously everybody use caution with the sun and put on your protective creams. But I was getting a lot of messages about how, you know, our bodies need the sunlight in times of like these viruses, and specifically with this virus, that it was very similar to what had occurred with the Spanish influenza. And it was important for them. A lot of the patients healed rapidly when they were treated outdoors and in the sunlight. So I was getting a lot of messages then about how important the solar rays were for us. So definitely think something different is going on with our sun, for sure.
Well, they're definitely getting the fresh air here, because all the kids are being taught outside. So they're getting heaps and heaps of fresh air. I mean, I try and sit out in the sun for about half an hour every day if I can, without anything, you know, because the sun's not that strong here anyway. And a lot of people get like vitamin D deficiency here. We have to take like supplements, like from, I don't know, all the way from September to March or May even. So I try and get some of that, because your body needs it, you know.
You're right.
Like, just a bit every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was our forecast for the week, everybody. Our we are spiritual meteorologists now as well. So I'm going to take a moment just to say hello to everybody because I am tuning. I'm here. I'm able to see it. So MJ and Liz and Reese, Noreen, Laura, Lynn, Marie, Lynette, Deborah, welcome everybody. And if I missed anybody because I cannot see, I do apologize. But thank you all for tuning in and being here with us.
Yeah, hello. And I was just thinking how great it would be, like, if we got like included in the weather forecast, we got sort of a half an hour of like, and the spiritual things for today are.
Yeah. Yeah, we could maybe add something to look into for the future.
The great central sun today is sending solar codes about something or other and this ascension thing.
Well, I think that's just it too. Honestly, I do think that the central sun is sending solar codes. And, what's really interesting, I'm not sure I talked about it here, but maybe on Moon Day last week or the week before, with the solar flares being the most intense they have been in the last 3 years. And that was about the time where I started experiencing my upper stomach pains. And a few other people had been experiencing some stomach issues going on around the same time. So I do think that it is, in my own way, I see it as those solar codes coming in to facilitate the purification of our solar plexuses, because that is our power center. And our power center right now is being threatened, is it not? It feels as though we are powerless in this current situation that's going on. And so I do feel like it's helping us to relinquish and purify all of those things that have been taking our power from us for maybe lifetimes, for, in a collective mindset as well. So I think there's a lot coming up personally, individually, as well as collectively.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge cleanse going on just now. And like you said, it feels like ancient stuff as well, like right back to the beginning stuff, just like falling away.
Yeah. I found that, I don't know about you, Rachel, and everybody else watching, but even in my work that I'm offering, and I mean, I know with you and I and the things that are coming to you and I, we are feeling evolved in some of the stuff that we want to do now. There's no book for this stuff. It hasn't, there's no way. It's just trusting your intuition and it coming in. I do feel like some of the old ways of doing things are falling away, even regarding spiritual techniques, modalities, and work. I feel like it's about kind of like, I feel like I want to be one of those people that's like, throw away certificates and like, you don't need any of this stuff anymore. You need to listen to the voice of your spirit. You need to listen to your family of light. And that's so out of the box, but that feels like what's happening,
Yeah. Well, I suppose I feel both things. So like I was thinking about, I don't know why I was thinking of it. It's so funny you just said that, because I was actually thinking about that like yesterday. And I was thinking, I must bring that up. And then today I was thinking, what was that thing I wanted to bring up? And I could not remember it. I think I was on my bike at the time, so I couldn't write it down or anything. But I was thinking about, so like me and Jamie, we have started doing like transmissions for like people like individually. So like if you have a thing you want to clear, we're doing a transmission for it. And it's like, so with transmissions, you just tune in, like what is here for this person now, what needs to come through. It's so totally in the moment, and I never know what is going to turn up, and it's just so powerful and so amazing. And then I was thinking, do you know what, this is how I live my life now. I'm like, every day I'm like tuning in to what's in the moment now. When I go out and I breed energies on the light, it's all about being present in the moment and just seeing like whatever, with whatever spiritual facility, what is there in the moment. So there's that. But then at the same time, like the work I've been doing with the runes in their own way are very, very structured. And they have a really, really long history, I think, back to the beginning of time. I really do. I really feel that. And that also like brings this incredible power with it, that so many people have used them and so many people have done magic with them. And it's like those two things together, like the structure and then the complete lack of structure. That's it. That's just the bee's knees. I was going to say something a bit rude. I didn't realize how much I swear till I started doing this show. Honestly, it's the bee's knees. I was going to say the dog. I won't.
Well, you know, it's about being authentic, Rachel. Just be authentic. I was going to say, is it my fault? Is it because, you know, quite a Celtic mouth over here?
You're always very polite. I'm here,
I do try. Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, the way that I've always been very intuitive and at least, or so I thought, very connected. But even that is shifting. I do feel that I'm opening more and more to things that I couldn't even have fathomed before, you know? And I feel like it's like it's like the more you surrender, the more you listen and connect, the more you keep evolving. And you're right, you know, talking about the transmissions that we're now offering, I kind of expected it to go one way. I guess I kind of had like a little bit of an idea of how it was going to go when we sat down to put one together for someone. And to my surprise, you know, when I did one, I had who is an ascended master pop through and come through during a session. And I'm like, wait, what's happening? Where's this going? And the next thing you know, I'm chanting away or singing a song that's like nothing that I even would have grasped before. And it was so authentic and it was so amazing and it was so real. And then it lined up with what you were offering and the drumming that came through. It was just, I don't want to go too much into detail with somebody's private session, but it was just amazing. And I have to also tell you, adding on to this, I have a surprise for everybody and for you, Rachel, because I didn't even tell you, and you know how hard that was. I can't keep surprises. I love surprises, but I can't keep them. So when I went to the beach on Friday, I kept feeling like I needed to connect with the energy of the dolphins. This is another thing that I want to kind of add on to, how things are just happening so differently now. So while we were there, it was really packed and it was very difficult to concentrate. But the whole time I kept saying, I have to connect with the dolphins. But first I wanted to go over and collect, rocks and seashells and all these different things. And it's so funny because as I did, I was standing there with my friend Karen and we're standing in the water and I look over and there's a little boy playing on a boogie board, we call them. It's kind of like a water board. And he kind of steps away from it and it floats and washes up closer to me and Karen. And on the boogie board was 2 dolphins. And I was like, oh my goodness. Okay. So they're driving it home. They want to connect. So I did. And whoa, did I. They gave me an energetic healing transmission to be used and to be shared with others. And they also showed me how to do it through a visual meditation connecting with their energy. So I do plan to record this and I will be offering it in our private Evolving into the Cosmic Heart group this month. So I'm really, really excited because it was very powerful.
That is amazing, isn't it? And you got that from going to the beach.
Yes, and all I did was close my eyes and say, okay, dolphins, I'm ready. And it was like instant transportation. And I went to a place where those of you in the private Cosmic Heart group will be going. That was just, I didn't expect that to happen. It happened so fast. And it's like when you're truly ready to just listen and open to receive the new information. And I say it's new, everybody, but it's not. This is not new. This is so ancient. It's new to us, but it's very ancient. And it's so amazing, the energy and the information that's coming through now.
Yeah, it's new to us, but we're remembering it from, a cycle a long time ago. And it's like the spiral that goes round. We're at the same point in the spiral now, but just instead of being here, we're here. Did you see I channeled a message from the Dolphins today?
No, I haven't been on Facebook this morning very much yet because oh my goodness, look at that.
I pulled a card, Dolphin Baby. And I was like, oh, it's not very long. It's just a little message, but it's so going to
fit. Oh my goodness. That's just so funny.
Because I was talking about this a few weeks ago, I think, on the show, and also to Jamie, is like, I've had dolphin dreams for years and years, but it's dreams like I can't find them. Or, you know, I have a lot about orcas as well. I dream a lot about killer whales. And, you know, and they're locked up in swimming pools and things like this. And whenever I've tried to work with it, like therapeutically, nothing happens. And my husband Thomas, he's tried to analyze them, but it doesn't work. But I felt a connection when I channeled this message today, and it was like, I think I'm going to really love your transmission, because there's been like this block, and I think it's like a grief block actually between me and them. It's like this sadness thing, and because and Benji as well, my little boy, when he was in my tummy when I was pregnant, I used to play dolphin sounds to him, and I used to say to Thomas, he's a little dolphin baby, and he totally.
And that was the card that you pulled, Dolphin Baby. You're gonna laugh because when I brought my cards with me to the beach, and when I was getting ready to connect, I picked up that same deck, the Lemurian Starchild deck. I picked up that deck, and on the flip side, on the bottom card, was Dolphin Baby. And I even showed it to Karen. I'm not lying. I am not making this up. I showed it to Karen. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, you see? All right, I got to connect. So I literally, that's when I went in and I connected. But
yeah. So they are really supporting the work that we're doing, not just in the members group, but also like with this show and with the transmissions. And the other bit I've got to share with you as well. So one of the energies that came through when Jamie was working the other day, it was white buffalo calf woman. Well, after I got that from you, I went. We live in apartments, and we do our washing downstairs in the laundry room, and there's all these drying rooms down there. So I do a whole week's washing all at once with 2 washing machines, and it is massive. So I get podcasts and I put them on my headphones, and I listen to them down there. And I was like, had this amount of I had half an hour of washing to hang up, and I was listening to this podcast, and I didn't know it was Jonette Crowley, and I couldn't remember who she was. I just thought, oh, she's got a nice energy, I want to listen to her. And then as I was listening to her, I remember she does this soul connection thing. I was like, oh yeah, I love her work. And 5 minutes into the podcast, she starts talking about how she had this vision. Well, no, it wasn't vision. It wasn't a vision. She actually went into another dimension, and this sort of like fairy woman or something was like giving her all this wisdom, and she had this total experience, and it was white buffalo calf woman.
What? Wow.
And I thought, okay, there's no, you know what I mean? It's like, that's too much of a synchronicity. She's also supporting the work that we're doing as well. I just felt it. I just felt that. Yeah. So there we go. We got dolphins and we got white buffalo calf woman. Let's see who else turns up.
Oh boy, yeah, I'm ready. Maybe I should. Maybe I should not. wait a minute.
What you say?
I'm gonna call on my family of light and ask you to please act as a filter through anything.
Turn it off too, but talking about that, so it's the 15th today, isn't it? So we've got some holidays coming up. I have.
You have loads of holidays.
I know there are quite a lot of holidays. I mean, we're not going anywhere or anything, but I mean, my son's going to be home from school on these weeks, so I will need all my energy for dealing with that. But next week we won't be doing a show, and then on the 29th of June, that's a holiday week as well. So we're going to have a 2-week break after this.
Well,
but just think how much we'll have to say,
oh my goodness, you're not gonna want to turn us off because we're gonna have like way too much to talk about by the time we get back here.
I'll have a list. I'll start a list like this. I'll be like, okay, it's my list for today.
Yeah, but we do have on the 22nd, right? June 22nd. So that's next Monday. So we won't be live here on the Cosmic Heart, but June 22nd, we will be live in the private Facebook group. Am I right? Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't mess up the dates. Did I mess up the dates?
No. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah. We've got our transmission that day.
So we'll be doing our live monthly transmission in the private Evolving into the Cosmic Heart group, as Rachel and I did last month, but we did that live here for everybody. But it isn't too late.
Which was a happy accident, though.
Was it, though? Yeah. So it is not too late to join our group for anybody who is interested. You can join at any time. It is also something that you can cancel at any time, to give it a try, experience it, see how you vibe with the messages that we bring forward in the energy. And we do also open up the space at the end of every month for our members to share a little bit of their own magic and anything that might be inspiring them, or maybe throughout the month, the stuff that we're doing together triggers and inspires something within them. And so we do hold that space to allow others to share as well. So if you're interested, let us know, send us a message and we'll help you get there.
Yeah. And if you didn't hear May's transmission, or you want to watch it again, if you scroll down on the Evolving page, it's still there. It was amazing. It really, really was. And also, I have it on my YouTube channel. I don't know if you got it.
I did, and I got quite a few comments from people saying how amazing it was. So that was beautiful.
Yeah. So if you can't find, because I know Facebook, it can be difficult to find things. If you can't find it, go on mine or Jamie's YouTube channel, and you'll find it on there as well. So.
Yes. Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. So we do. Oh. Karen says she pulled her cards today and it was Dolphin Baby. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so amazing how all of this just, it's so clear that they want to communicate with us. And it's interesting because we all just think, everybody loves dolphins. They're so special, but we never really, I feel like, at least as an average person, not tuning in, not paying attention to what's going on, even all animals, we just think, well, they're just animals, and they're just beings that are here coexisting with us, right? No, they are divine, magical gatekeepers, light bearers, architects. I mean, it's amazing. It's me. And I'm seeing this in such a new light that it's so inspiring. All I want to do is work with it all the time and just share it with everybody.
I had an interesting insight the other day. I went for a walk on Saturday thinking I think I'd had a busy day and I don't think I'd been out. So I said, I'm just going to go and grab a walk, Thomas. And off I went, and I walked down to Booparken, which is it's right near the fjord. So you can see the water, and it's a really high energy there. And there's 2 trees in there that I know there's like a vortex or something that's going to open there. And I've been doing some clearing with some friends, like further down the energy line, because that had to clear before this could open. And I walked past it and I saw that Sarah's flame is going to be there. And I was like, no.
Wow.
No. And it was like, yes. And I thought, but how can that be? How can these trees support that? Because it's such a powerful energy and it's so new, and it hasn't even really manifested outside of because it's grounded at a temple in Malta. Really interesting. And I was like, how can it ground these trees? It's just 2 trees. And I was going off on my walk. I was walking around, and it suddenly came to me, because and this explains a lot to me. So trees have a collective consciousness, and that means they can draw on all the power of all the other trees. And it's a special type of tree that's there. I'll have to look it up. It's quite unusual. It's not indigenous to Denmark, I don't think. And it's like those trees can call on all the power of all of the oversoul of the trees, and that's how they can ground things like that. And I was like, oh, so that's how, because I've known for a long time that like when I meet a tree, so when I was I was about 28 or something, I bought an apartment in Reigate in Surrey, and I had this beautiful yew tree outside my window. And this was just right at the beginning of my spiritual journey. Like literally, my spiritual journey didn't start till I was 26. I was completely closed to everything before that. And this yew tree, I used to talk to it outside the window. I loved it. Its branch came right up to the window. And it was one of the worst things about moving was leaving the trees. And then all the other yew trees I met from that point on all knew who I was because I'd met that yew tree. And it's been the same with beeches. And I'm like, where I go somewhere, if there's a tree that I've had a relationship with from that species, it's like they already know of me. Do you know what I mean? It's like some sort of, and I've experienced that over and over, and I've never quite understood it until that moment where it was this thing about collective consciousness. Because I was thinking if someone was going to anchor a flame, it would need to be a stone, or because stones are so powerful. They do, so that's why these stone circles and stone barrows, they're so powerful anchoring things, aren't they? I mean, it's really amazing. And I was like, can a tree really do that? Can it? But
yeah, and now that you say that, you triggered something. So we talk about the work that we've done together with Sarah's temples and this etheric temple that was being basically created in Glastonbury. And when we were all talking about it, going back and forth with where would this end up being, it ended up being it just came together organically how it happened and where it was. But I will say that where it is, you would think with all of the energy there and the big sacred energy points and things like that with the stone circles all over there, it ended up being in a place where it is surrounded by trees. Do you know that? It's in an orchard.
Oh my gosh, I haven't even thought of that. So what we're talking about here is, Ascended Master Sarah, she's a daughter of Mary Magdalene and Jesus. And she's also been like an earth keeper in her lifetimes, because obviously, she's had other lifetimes where she wasn't Sarah. She was, she was Sarah, somebody but, she wasn't being Jesus' daughter. And she has planted seeds all around in the earth grid. And this was a seed that was planted in Glastonbury of her like violet flame. She has her own vibration of the violet flame. And we had to do things to activate it. And it is like the mother temple, the mother spiral. And Jamie went and some other women went, and I was here in Denmark, and we sort of worked together like collectively, and it came online, and it was wild. But I still haven't managed to get the Zoom thing up yet, but I'm going to organise a Zoom call for the 5th of July, because that temple is ready to go up to its next level now. And it's going to bring in a great angel. And it's like the last stage of it, because after that, because the violet flame, Sarah's violet flame, it has been clearing the way for her flame to come in. And this is this beautiful sort of, there's kind of different layers on it. If you see it, it's like Sarah from her human level, it's green. And then if you see it from her angel's level, it's like this like unearthly white colour. And I say unearthly because I know it's a colour that doesn't exist on Earth, but the closest we can get to it is like this amazing, dazzling, like whiter than white, sort of Persil, that's a washing powder, brightness. That was their tagline, whiter than white, it's like that. Yeah, and I'm just so excited about this work. But then I just have to keep doing all these mundane things, but it's on my list for tomorrow to organise.
That's going to be really exciting. And I had a thought about that because I was supposed to go to Glastonbury, and I am not. Sadly, I'm not going this year. It just didn't really make a whole lot of sense with everything just starting to come back to life. There's social distancing, taking a big group. I really didn't want to have any part of the trip compromised. So we figured it's best just wait. So we're going to wait until next year, which is heartbreaking. But in the process, I was also understanding because, initially we thought, well, if I did go, was I going to be doing more work regarding, you know, where the temple is? And, or the spiral, I always call it a temple. I always call it a temple. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's all of these sacred points are actually having a whole lot of like resurrections happening and rebirth happening. And it's just like how the water is being purified, the pollution is being purified, the air, everything is being, it's being restored to balance right now. And I feel like this is the perfect time for that to be growing, because let's face it, Glastonbury gets a lot of tourists. So I do feel like it's a time for it to be growing without a whole lot of outside interference. And that too, I have planted my own spirals locally, and they're all surrounded by trees. And do you remember me telling you I got the weirdest message when I planted my one spiral? And it told me, and I was wondering why it was telling me this, because this was prior to isolation happening and COVID-19. It told me that I needed to anchor my roots into the trees and into the trees' roots. And it was going to communicate. And I could communicate with those trees from my trees in my yard. And when I needed to do work and I couldn't get there, which I thought was weird, why couldn't I get there? When I couldn't get there, I could do it from my own trees. So what you're saying about the tree consciousness being a collective consciousness, absolutely. And
And they wired you into
did.
their consciousness, which means you can tap in. You can tap into
Which is
it.
amazing. It's just, this stuff is just incredible. But this is the new stuff we're talking about. Just being able to really see things beyond the third dimension. And it's just
So interesting. It's just so interesting. So there's a term for that in Nordic magic, and that is called. So if you're tapping into like the power of the earth, it's called your Megan. And if it's a tree, so I guess I don't know about Old Norse, but in Danish that would be Trey Megan.
that sounds fancy.
And if it's the gods, then it's Ass again. Yeah, because that's the word for the god. Ass.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and it means you're augmenting your power with, you know, whatever it is that you're connecting it to. But I like that explanation because it just makes things very, very clear in my head of how it's working. There was something else about the soul aspect that I came across this week. I think it came through in a channeling for someone.
I would love to hear about that.
It's like another little piece of it. So in the Seva that I've learned, this Nordic shamanism thing from Imelda and Chris, she's taught us all about like different parts of the soul. So the Old Norse believed there was lots of different parts of your soul that sort of made up your whole soul. And so there was part of you that was from your ancestry, and there was part of you that was from, you know, made up of your mental body, and part of you, but it was, you know, it wasn't just you, it was you and the community around you. And then I was doing a channeling for someone, and then it came in like, so like you get this thing about, you know, people are aspects of Mary Magdalene or Jesus or Sarah or whatever, and it explains why that can be true, but people can all be very different, because you're born into an ancestral line. A piece of that is making up your soul, and then a piece of you is being made up from Sarah. And then also, so like if you've been a priestess or a priest in a temple from a long time ago, where you took on a piece of like Apollo or Zeus, and that is also, because I've had that in my birth chart. The woman that did it, amazing job, Sarah Jane Grace. I don't think she does them anymore, but it was absolutely amazing. She said I was, you know, I was like shining out the goddess energy, and I'm like, I know I've had loads of past lives with the goddess, and it was like, yeah, because like if you work with something lifetime after lifetime, it actually becomes like a piece of your soul. But it explains how you can have these energies but actually still be like a human being. Do you know what I mean? Having a human soul. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then another channeling I did this week was about, Sarah was showing me that, so like her energy, it's like this archetypal energy of like unity consciousness. And I see it as green. I see Mary Magdalene as pink, and I see Yeshua as yellow gold. And she was showing me, like, if you imagine like the web of weird, and there's this whole weave, like imagine it as a, like it's all being woven together. And she was showing me how like her energy, it's like, so you imagine it, it's like there's this whole weave, and there's this green line of her energy, and it's like coming along here, and then it's time for it to go down deep, deep into the unconscious. And then, all right, it's because I know people have worked with it before in like previous like magical cultures or whatever, religious or spiritual cultures. And then it's time for it to come up in the consciousness, and it starts coming up. And she was saying that's where it is now. It's starting to come up, and that's why not everybody, but so many people are suddenly having these connections with Sarah. But she also said there's been like priests and priestesses that have worked with that energy and worked with her in past lives, and they have a piece of this energy in them as well. And it's like, and then they are the ones that are like, it's going like this. And then, because down here, it's really deep in the collective unconscious. So no one's really aware of it, but it hasn't gone away. It's just like, it's at the bottom of the deep, deep ocean, too far for anyone to see. And then it's coming back up again. And then suddenly all these people who were priests and priestesses working with this energy before suddenly go, and suddenly start vibrating with it. And so it was like showing like two ways of connection with Sarah, either being this soul aspect or like actually having part of this archetypal energy as part of your, so, and I'm like,
it makes so much sense.
This is so cool.
It really does. And it's a wonderful explanation, because I know that there are so many people who have those confusing, I myself, I remember one time being shown memories of like Sarah's memories. And that really confused me. And I was like, what does this mean? Why am I seeing her memories? How does that resonate? How does that apply? Trying to figure it out. It can be very confusing, and of course, in our limited consciousness and way of perceiving, we don't understand something like that until it's planted, and then it can be embraced, and then we understand it. But yeah, I mean, the initial way to respond to something like that would be, oh, well, I must have been her, or you know what I mean? So that makes so much sense. It also makes sense with the trees and the connections with the trees, because, they're collective consciousness. And just even though that one tree is speaking to you, the next tree is not the same tree, but it is a piece of that tree's consciousness that's speaking to you. So I don't know. I find that it all just very links and connects. And it's interesting because I have a message from the crow today, if everybody is open to hearing about that really quickly. So as you were talking about the trees and their collective consciousness, I was going, oh, yeah. So this morning I recorded a video of a flock. I think that might be called a murder, though. A murder of crows. A flock of crows, or crow, cawing loudly over my backyard. And I didn't get up in time to capture it. I'm like, there's something, they're doing something, they're up to something. And they took off, and then they circled around, they came back and kept doing it. And they did this multiple times over my head. And I'm like, crow want to communicate today. Okay, so I'm tuning in, I'm listening. And one thing about the crow is that they are also a collective consciousness. And a lot of people are familiar with stories that if you do something bad to a crow, or you shoo it away or do something that aggravates the crow, they tell all their friends. And then you could go miles and miles away and a crow will see you and maybe dive bomb you or kind of come out and start yelling loudly at you. It's because they communicated that consciously. They're a collective consciousness, and they memorize. Likewise, if you do something good and leave them treats, they remember you. So I find that fascinating because it's like part of the web, part of the collective consciousness, and the crow are coming forward in a really big way. And they were so persistent this morning that they were really, I mean, they were loud. They were yelling. And the only thing that I could hear when they were doing that was, it's time. It's time. You need to do it now. So I'm like, what the heck? Why? What are you saying? What is it? What do we have to do? If you understand what the crow represents, it is the keeper of truth. A lot of people give crow a bad reputation because they are harbingers, or supposedly harbingers of death and bad omens, but that's because they're often seen as scavengers, come around on the battlefields when soldiers are dead and have fallen. And that's just part of the natural part of their process, the natural part of life's process. And so they do represent the void because of them being black. But if you understand the void, it is not only that place of nothingness, it is also a place of everything. It is where true potentiality is birthed. And so we are being called to awaken and to transform from that place of releasing and relinquishing the old, which is, association with death and the ending of an old way, but to give birth then to something new, to transmute. They also are shapeshifters. So it is about alchemy, alchemical transmutation, adaptability. And so they also are about you coming into your truth. And so they bring forth a very powerful message of, it is time. It is time for us to come online with our ancient truth, to finding out, digging deep, going through all of those pieces of ourselves, the illusions, the masks, all of the things that we've been, all of the costumes that we've worn, all of the lessons that we've gone through, digging deep down to find out who you really are and what are you here to do. Now is the time to pull that out and to embrace that and bring that into your collective consciousness. So it gives me that whole, like, now is the time, now is the hour. It is the time for us to embrace it.
I can feel that, and it's like scooping right down really deep into my heart, because, like, when we were talking about the transmissions earlier, and I was saying, it's just about like tuning in and just feeling what's there, and I can feel that it's like each time it's like digging deeper and deeper and deeper down into this bottomless well, and it's that void, isn't it? It's like that really learning how to just like, and I think I do okay, but I can feel how much further I've got to go, and it's a bit scary. It is a bit, I won't lie. It does frighten me a little bit. It's like to be looking
into
over the
black
precipice,
void.
like,
yeah.
And it's just,
that's right.
There's no bottom.
Right.
There's
One
no
thing that
bottom
came up when I was connecting was stirring deep memories of your ancient truth and your ancient calling, giving birth to your ancient magic into matter. So I thought that was like, whoa. And I've connected with Crow a lot. Crow is probably one of the biggest messengers that come to me. But even this was beyond what I've received from tuning into Crow before. And I thought that was really aligning with what you just talked about, with how those that had this connection, the seed planted in previous incarnations or lifetimes, or even ancestral connections, being pushed down into that deep unconscious for a very long time until suddenly it's being triggered and awoken. And that is exactly going down deep. And that's what Crow is telling us. Go down deep into that place, into that void, into that deep unconscious, and pull out your ancient magic and calling. And doing so, we naturally connect with the collective consciousness, because we're already it. We are a collective consciousness. So it's pretty amazing how everything just, we don't talk about any of this in advance, and this just all came together the way that it was meant to.
But I love that. I love that message, Jamie. Thank you for sharing that. Like I say, I can really feel
Thank
it.
Thank you, because it all just came together. And Karen is actually saying that a bunch of crows are actually calling outside right now.
Notice, Karen, listen to those crows.
They
They are
are, and it's
talking to you.
155 right here in New Jersey right now. And 1 is new beginnings, forward movement. 55 is a powerful number of change and moving forward and expansion. Can't make it up.
Oh dear. Oh, don't get me started on numbers now, Jamie. Since you said that to me, all day long, I'm picking up my phone and it's 1313 or 1414 or 1111. It happens to me like every time I pick my phone up now, it's got some, synchronicity number. And what I like about going back to that weave thing, it's like this idea of there's a weave and things are coming in and out. It takes away the idea of something's wrong. It's like, oh, it was lost. And no, that was the weave. It was supposed to go up, then it was supposed to go down, and then it was supposed to go up. It's like, there's nothing wrong. This is like the divine plan. Mm-hmm. This is how it goes. And we just need to live it. We need to live that weave. And the art of savor is skillfully weaving that weave, like taking what you've been given up until now, because there's all this weave behind you, and then you take what you've been given and you skillfully do things with it to get the best you can out of that weave. And I love that. I love that as well.
I love that. Yeah. Interestingly, last week on Moon Day, I don't know for anybody who does not know, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I do go live on my Magical Me page and I do a Moon Day reading. And last week, the card that we pulled for the collective was a gift. There was a gift coming that week. And all week long, all my friends were like, Jamie, I'm waiting for my gift. It hasn't come yet. And everybody's waiting for their gift, and then bam. Everybody got their gifts. And I don't know about everybody else that was watching, but for me, it was the revelation of my ancient magic, just when you think you can't find any more, you did. And it was part of that was the message of White Buffalo Calf Woman. Part of that was the message of the dolphin coming in. And it was like, Jamie, look at this. There's so much magic left for you to still use, for you to still do. There's so much new magic that's waiting to be presented and come forward. And it was like, I just had this revelation and I was told that I'm starting to live my life purpose. So, yay. Yeah.
And one last insight, and then I'll probably run out of insights for tonight. But one last insight I had was, I was talking to a friend in the UK, and her son also has just getting a diagnosis of ADHD, and another son with autism. And we were talking about dealing with all of these things. And one of her sons he's very young, but he wants to wear dresses. And my dad also, he's dead now, but it was a big secret to my dad, but he was a Scorpio, right? And Scorpios love their secrets, don't they? It being a secret, but he never talked to me about it, and I'm really sad about that, because I would have really liked to have talked to him about it, but I didn't get to sort of really know properly about it until after he died. But anyway, I was thinking about how much shame and embarrassment there is around this, and how, like, in shamanic communities, a lot of them, it was seen as they were sort of holding this very spiritual balance of both the male and the female. And it was really, really revered and seen as sacred. And it suddenly hit me how much of really sacred things are the things that have been turned into the most shameful. So, like, being a witch, being a cross-dresser, the number 13, anything holy, the goddess Hel, anything holy was totally, totally twisted and corrupted. And I thought, well, that's a really good indicator then of things that are really magic. The things that are really magical and powerful, there's going to be a lot of shame and crap around them. And then that can, like, wake us up to, like, oh, there's probably something really good here. I'm going to sit and be with this and see what, I can intuit about this. Shift
I think it's amazing how prominent and how many people are sharing their voices and coming out in, like, the transgender community now as well, because I always felt that. I always felt that was kind of like a nod to the times of where we are moving, that these people are holding, just very much like you said, holding a balance of their masculine and the feminine. And unfortunately, our society makes you choose. Is it one or the other? You know, no, be you, be uniquely you, be free. And I think that that's just, I think it's amazing because I do see us shifting into that way where it isn't a one way anymore, you know?
No, because I think my dad was actually quite powerful, like spiritually and magically. But of course, you know, because he was born in 1932, he didn't get to like manifest any of that. But like, because he died of cancer, and in the last couple of years of his life, I would go and give him Reiki, and he could really feel it all. And I remember when he was in hospital just before he died, I was sitting there, you know, just like giving him some healing, and he was sort of like slightly, you know, in a not really conscious, and he was going, I can feel you're giving me power, Rachel, you're giving me power. And it was like, I think he was, you know, could have been in another place. But I think it's all coming. I don't feel like, I'm sad for my dad, but I feel like it's come down through me, and it's going down to my children, and it will pass on down them. There's a strong shaman spiritual sort of energy going down, and I'm like, wow, what another way to see my dad than, oh, he was like a secret transgender. I mean, nothing if he was, you know, I don't care if he wants to dress up in dresses, and you know, I don't, it's like, that's cool with me. You know, I would have liked to have known that side of him, because actually I think I would have seen more of him than I'd ever seen in my life. Like in my heart sort of goes, oh, that would have been, you know,
and I think that's also tunes into the whole the message of the crow. It's about you being your truth here, expressing yourself and who you are here. The one thing about crow also is that they are fearless. They are fearless. So be you, everyone. And it's time to strip away all of the programmed expectations, limitations, beliefs that don't serve you anymore.
Yeah. It is.
I know.
There should be a drum roll.
Well, what a fascinating show this has been.
I know. We just talked for an hour, Jamie. I still got a couple of things left in my head.
Just keep going. It could just go on and on. Well, I will be live later this evening. As long as Divine allows, I shall be there. So I will be talking more magic this evening, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone who's listening now and in the future. And you know, it's been great.
Thank you very much for being here with us. I hope that you all have an amazing week, or whenever you're watching this week. And we'll see you again, not next week, sadly, or the week after, but we will be seeing you again in 3 weeks' time. Yes.
Yeah, because we love having these. We love having
these. We do, because they always inspire more
don't
magic.
We, Jamie? Yeah. And also, once it's spoken, you can we're like mirroring that magic back to each other, isn't it? Because all the time it's in your head, it's quite easy to sort of diminish it. But then as soon as I said it to you, I can hear like, wow, this is really something, Rachel. Honor it, girl.
Planting seeds, and it is bringing that into our consciousness.
So good night, everyone. Hope you got some inspiration from us.
Replay for those of you catching it back later. Take care.
Oh, and please leave a comment, because we love to hear from you. Tell us what you think. Bye.